We're doing audio sync first.
Do we have to synchronize? Can't we just be out of sync for once in our lives?
Yeah, you're the one that's editing it. It'll be tough.
Audio sync in 4, 3, 2. Spoiler alert 1.
Oh, I was gonna say nothing and then say go. I was gonna do blank 1. See, I know you too well. I knew you were gonna do something. I knew it.
Spoiler alert. I'm gonna surprise you with something.
Okay, surprise me.
We're doing the spoiler tag today, sir.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, thanks for ruining it for me. I'm out. Just kidding.
This was invented. It was birthed by Scott and Nell over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. Go to a YouTube channel with 2 people on that. How original. Can you believe they did that?
Is their channel older than ours?
I don't know. They do it better than us, though. They've got accents. They sound really interesting. We're really boring. We're boring compared to them. I got to be honest.
Well, if I had my cool Southern accent, then you would sound more Northern and kind of have an accent. Maybe you should replace me with Leslie.
All right. We are doing the spoiler tag today.
Spoilers?
Which is weird for a channel that just does not give a rat's about spoilers. Am I right?
But we do care. You hate being spoiled. I mean, you hate when things are spoiled for you. You probably are spoiled, but...
I'm spoiled, but that doesn't mean when are things spoiled for me? Like what could you possibly spoil for me?
Star Wars.
I've seen them all.
Still bitter. You're still bitter about the movie, though, and how it was spoiled for you.
So if you didn't know, Crypto and I met playing this Star Wars video game, and you have a username, right? And there's this arena that you climb in. So if you're in first place, second place, fourth place, you climb up this ladder. And when The Last Jedi came out, a dude changed his name to the characters that did or didn't make it in the movie. Okay. Now that's a good point. Okay. As we go through this,
spoilers right now.
Okay. What are the series that we're allowed to spoil? I'm going to say, let's use Star Wars as an example. That has to be fair, right? Most people have seen Star Wars. And if not, I mean, you've probably figured out and heard half the spoilers of that movie anyways.
Yeah. Like Vader is Luke's dad. Spoiler.
To be fair, come on. Yeah. There's so many shirts out there that say that make dad jokes. Father. Yeah, they make dad jokes about that. And there's got to be something to the social consciousness that we have that once something is saturated enough, it's obviously not a spoiler because people buy those shirts all the time that talk about Vader being, Luke's dad and stuff like that. And I think most people would say things like, and if you've done this tag and you're like, he's making fun of me, I'm not, I swear to God. But I know there's going to be people out that are that do this super subjective answer. Number one, what's the question? What do you consider a spoiler, right? And they're going to give you this really subjective answer of anything that ruins my enjoyment or a plot point that I didn't see coming. And it's just that sounds so...
No, I think that is the very typical. It's any crucial information that ruins your enjoyment of a book, show, or movie. That's the base thing. And for some people...
It is completely undefendable. You cannot defend that because what ruins one person's enjoyment can't ruin another person's necessarily. Or doesn't have to, I should say. Yeah,
I think there's a caveat here to the spoiler of one thing that is always never mentioned is what is the statute of limitation here on a spoiler? And that's hard as time moves forward because we might have somebody watching this video right now that's just getting into Star Wars and hasn't got to episode 5 yet. We just spoiled something for them on accident. But that movie came out nearly 40 years ago. So it's I didn't know that some kid that's watching him out of order, and watched episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and just is getting into episode 4, 5, and 6 of the Star Wars movies. I didn't know that. Does that make me spoil the movie for him? Could he still not enjoy it because that is spoiled?
There's that Homer Simpson joke too, right? In The Simpsons where I think they're walking out of the Star Wars and he says, I can't believe, Vader was Luke's dad. And it's funny because we all get that, because I think most people understand that a lot of people would be upset at the opening of The Empire Strikes Back and announcing that as you walk out. That would piss a lot of people off, right? But nowadays, we buy shirts that flaunt it, right? We have memes that we share in online public chat rooms where we don't know who has or hasn't seen that movie. There's this social saturation element that Star Wars has reached that we can't consider that a spoiler anymore. And also, even if you try to defend it with, if it ruins someone's subjective experience, how do I know what ruins someone's subjective experience or not, right? Like, there was one time I was having a conversation with someone, and I said, well, it's not third-person limited, it's a third-person omniscient story. And the person just flipped out. Like, dude, you can't say that. I haven't gotten to the other narrations yet. And I'm like, are we considering the voicing of a book a spoiler at this point? Like, you have got to be kidding. Like, there's something just about using your subjective experience as a weapon, right? And there's just, to me, that's a huge problem. We've just become very sensitive to these things that, how do you know when something's sensitive or not? You know what I mean?
I have the answer for you. All right, here is our definition of a spoiler.
All right, hit me.
A spoiler is this stupid device that goes on the back of all of the cars in the early 2000s that saw Fast and the Furious, and they slapped on this stupid-looking spoiler on their 1998 Honda Civic to look cool and impress girls.
Okay, that is our definition of spoiler. That's what a spoiler is, everybody. Question number 2, does the genre you're reading impact what you consider to be a spoiler?
To me personally, no. But I could see the argument here that depending on the genre, there are moments of a book that hinge more on aha, or surprise, or a gotcha, or a revelation of some sort. Example, murder mysteries. The whole book is predicated on the idea of finding out who did this dastardly deed. And if someone just tells you that, that may ruin your enjoyment of the book. Can you still enjoy the journey? Sure, but you're not going to get that experience at the very end. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it can diminish any overall joy that you might actually like a book.
I know I am in that 5 to 1%, whatever the percentage is. Like, you could tell me who the murderer, I don't care. I really don't. And to me, then I'm just going to be reading the book like, oh, like what were some of the hints along the way, and how did the author use double language? Where I couldn't have appreciated, like when I finish a book, I don't remember 300 pages. Like I don't store 300 pages of words and put it in my brain. Where like after the murder, the murder is revealed, I don't remember some of those elements of like what were said that were double language, right? And some people do, and they're like really excited to remember back to that. And then some people, when they reread, right, again, even though they know the ending, hey, they're not upset now because it's not a spoiler because they already know it. But they enjoy going back through the second time because they do get to look for those double elements. To me, I don't think it's a worse experience going through a first time or second time looking for those double elements. Like that, again, I know I'm in the minority here.
I think one of the major reasons people get annoyed in specific genres of spoilers is that is the lure to have you continue reading the story, is you get this payoff at the end and you get, the dopamine or whatever rush in your brain of like, yes, I figured it out, or wow, I never saw that coming. And that's going to give you some type of positive affirmation either way. And I think that in like murder mystery books or, in not necessarily a whodunit, but, in a fantasy book or something, you see how the good guy overcomes evil by this magic way that you didn't see possible. That payoff, can be ruined through spoilers, I think, in certain genres more than others. But overall, I don't think it's a huge deal.
Again, subjective. Again.
Of course. Yeah, we predicate at the very beginning.
And to that point, I know that revealing who the murderer is or whether the character lives or dies is considered spoiler for most people. So I never tried to do that in non-spoiler territory conversations. I like there's a difference between recognizing what most people consider a spoiler and what I think is a spoiler too, right? So is this question me acknowledging that point for other people, right? What do I consider a spoiler to protect and shield others? Or is this what is really a spoiler for me? Is what is this question really getting at? Because it's not clear. And to me, if you're asking me specifically, does the genre doesn't impact what's a spoiler to me.
No, I don't think so either.
So, number 3, all the best bits are in the trailer. Sometimes a synopsis can be too detailed. Can it? Can it really? Do you research books prior to reading them, or do you go in blind?
So I kind of used my one cheat here on this one, where when the word trailer came up, I thought of movies. And for movies, 100%. There have been so many movies that have had spoilers in them that have made me less interested in seeing the movie, because I'm like, all right, well, I know that happens. That doesn't mean I might not see the movie still or enjoy it as much.
What's an example? I mean, I think we can safely assume you can say it because it was in the trailer, right? Like, do we consider the trailer non-spoilers? Like, you are already breaking our previous statement. Like I bet you there's people that are nodding along with you like, yeah, that makes sense. No, bull. That doesn't make sense at all. Because you are once again reverting to that subjective standard of it ruined it for me. And how would I know what ruins for you? Because people who are making trailers, they're not dumb. They know they're not supposed to give away certain major plot points. Those trailers are designed to be non-spoilerish. What happened is it crossed a boundary you have that perhaps they think a lot of other people don't have.
Yeah, so kind of two examples, and one of the reasons why I don't do a lot of research on books or movies or shows. I just take recommendations, and I've told you before. Oh, don't tell me. What do I do when I ask you about a show sometimes? Oh, have you seen this? And you say yes or no, and then I tell you not to tell me anything else. I don't want to know if you thought it was good. I don't want to know if you thought it was bad. I don't want your perception influencing me any way whatsoever, because I go in with this precognition notion of it's supposed to be good or supposed to be bad. And to me, I want a blank slate. And with a movie, two examples is X-Men 3. They showed the entire bridge scene of like the climax of the big battle and the big fight. And so like I'd seen it already. So it wasn't like it was this new first-time spectacle for me. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't the same as seeing something for the first time. And that does have a special nuance and rarity to it, the first-time viewer. And the other one was the recent Terminator movie. They gave away who the bad guy was right off the start, that he was a special Terminator. And you're like, wait a minute, like, shouldn't that be the big reveal? And they just threw it right in the trailer because, like you said, the people that put the trailer together obviously didn't think it was that big a deal.
Sometimes the introduction or translator's notes can spoil the ending, especially for classics. We hear that a lot. Has this ever happened to you?
No, I don't think so. I can't remember ever seeing an introduction and thinking to myself, well, I know the whole story now. I don't have to read that book.
Do you read the introductions usually for a lot of these classics that we read, for example?
No, sir.
I don't either.
And I think
I don't either. And it's not for spoiler reasons. It's because we have a channel where we have a duty to break down things. And if we read an introduction of a really well-known classic, then we're probably going to be pushed in a way to interpret it the way that maybe that a lot of other people will when they read that. And that's not wrong. But I think our channel needs to have original analysis in order for it to appear different than what an introductory text may lead us down.
I'll be very honest with you and the channel right now. We read a lot, and I am a fast reader, but I do a lot of grading for my job, and sometimes my time is very limited. I skip right to chapter 1 sometimes, and I read the book to get that done. And then I go back and I read the foreword, or I'll read the details about the author. I'll go online and do some research. Sometimes I skip right to chapter 1. If there's a preface, if I can squeeze it in, if I feel like it's necessary. But otherwise, I just get to the meat and potatoes.
Well,
that's what I do.
But to the point of this question, you're not skipping it because of spoilers, right?
No.
Like that's what this question's getting to. And I'm not skipping it because of spoilers either. I'm skipping it because I want to make sure that the channel has a chance to have original analysis and not going down a beaten path, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, number 5, name a time somebody spoiled a novel for you.
The only one I could think of, and again, I don't think it was that big a deal, but the book was pretty much told to me in its entirety of what it was about, was I went to college and earned a history degree as my bachelor's. And then in order to become a teacher, I had to go back to school and get more credits because I didn't have that specific type of degree. And one of the classes I had to take, we had to read books from, other cultures. And we read The Kite Runner. And right there in the syllabus, it basically broke down what the whole book was about. And I'm like, well, this is kind of stupid. I don't need to read the book. Like, everything is right there. And obviously that was very ignorant of me, and once I read the book and I was like, oh, okay. Knowing that much information about the book doesn't detract at all from what you go through in the story of, who died and who lives and who gets killed and what happens to those young boys is completely irrelevant. The emotional experience that you go through with those young men is what really matters. And that was kind of my big takeaway of, when I took that class because in the beginning, when I did read the syllabus, I was a little bit angry, but I realized that was kind of stupid of me to feel that way.
Have you ever spoiled a novel for someone else?
I have. Yeah, we had one of our friends jump on the chat, and I thought that he was all caught up, and I had not been paying attention to Discord, and I just started going on my little rant, and he said, I'm not that far, and I pretty much spoiled major parts of Drawing of Three of key plot points. I don't think he was too upset about it because he continued reading with us anyway.
Well, I mean, you join a chat.
I felt bad.
And you're now up to speed with how far the chat is. Like, were we talking about Drawing of Three? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we were talking about Drawing of Three, and I just went into things that were happening with Eddie and
yeah. Well, if you're
Susan,
if you're joining a chat and you're not all caught up, I mean, hey, I'm just saying. If spoilers ruin...
trying to be respectful. When we were on the chat, be like, hey, has everybody watched X, Y, and Z new TV show? I want you to have that first time authentic experience. And I didn't know that he wasn't caught up in the story. So my bad.
Number 7, if spoilers ruin novels, are there some authors or genres you can't reread?
Actually, no. As you pointed out earlier, a lot of times I enjoy more the second read through because that anxiety is gone of having to try to figure it out or know what's going to happen or figure out what's going to happen. And that second, third read through is a lot more enjoyable because I get to try to pick out all the foreshadowing or the fun little imagery or analysis a little bit more as I go through, as kind of you said earlier. So I don't think so. Not for me. What about you? Do you enjoy the second read through more?
This is such a funny question because I don't know. I'm not pointing at a specific person. If you've done this tag, I don't know if you've done this, but can't you picture there being someone that said, someone that ruins my enjoyment, right? Like the subjective answer to number 1. And then do they answer in number 7, no, like it can't be spoiled on a reread? Like, wouldn't that be conflicting here, those two? Like, doesn't 1 and 7 have to be related somehow? Where if you say something that ruins an experience, but then in question 7, some authors or genres that you can't reread because of spoilers, like those would conflict, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think the point of here is that there's no point to reread a story again once you know key plot points. So if you're reading along Harry Potter and you know what happens at the end, then why read it again? You're not going to get anything new out of it.
So if you had answered the way that there are spoilers, then question 7 has to be there are some stuff you can't reread.
Can't is a strong word.
Yeah, that's probably worded a little bit too strongly because you know what they're going to say. They're going to be like, well, I look at it differently. And then it's like, well, then why was it spoiled if you just look at it differently? And I just feel like there's probably a conflicting story between these two is really my answer here.
No, I agree.
So for me, the guy that has no spoilers, no, there's nothing that you can't reread because of spoilers. Case in point, I read so many of these like chapter books with my son, like over and over again. I know I probably have many of them memorized, but you reread them and there's different ways that you can joke and laugh about it. So I don't think you can be, for me, I don't think I can be spoiled, and I think I can reread anything. Number 8, when reviewing, are you spoiler free? Yeah. Does this limit your ability to discuss? Well, Crypto, how well do we regard spoilers?
No, when reviewing, I'm the worst. I assume, and I know this is wrong of me, I guess, maybe, I don't know, that when you're clicking on a video and you're clicking on a video to learn or watch or read, and you purposely clicked on it, that's your fault, I feel like. Now, if you're just scrolling through your Twitter feed, you're scrolling through Facebook or Snapchat, and the headline spoils something, so-and-so dies in new movie, that's different because you didn't actively click on it and intentionally go read that article. But when you click on one of our videos, if it's your very first time, okay.
Okay. Right. But that's I think that's part of the rub, right? Because if you look at what the atmosphere is of BookTube, it's most people aren't actually talking about what they took away from books necessarily. It's more about book marketing. Like a lot of booktubers are book marketers of these are the books you should read next. These are some of the things I enjoyed about this book. If you like these sort of things, these are the books that you should check out. It's all about book recommendations or book inspiration. And if you think that's negative, I think that's more maybe your own view on capitalism or the need to consume. I didn't say it was wrong. I just said that's what a lot of BookTube is. We are a very small niche of BookTube of analysis, of breakdowns, of interpretations, which you can only do after you've read the book. Now, since we exist in an ecosystem built on marketing and being mostly spoiler-free of people looking for the next book to consume and read, we exist as a small niche in there that we almost have to be, since we are different, you almost have to disclaim, oh, we're the spoiler channel. Like I think people figure that out pretty soon upon watching our videos, right? But we almost have to self-disclaim, but it just gets repetitive and like, it's exhausting to do it every single time. It really is.
Yeah. And I think that once you see our format, that it's consistent every single time, that we do the, summary review of the story or the book or whatever, and then we go into analysis, and that if you're analyzing something, you're going to have to go into the nitty gritty of a story or a book, that there are going to be some very specific details. We're going to pull out some very specific quotes to support our theories and our ideas and our beliefs. That just kind of comes with the territory, I believe. And we are a niche BookTube channel in the fact that we're trying to not sell something. I'm not saying that's wrong, that we're trying to educate people to open their minds, broaden their horizons and experiences, and, become more cultured and educated. That's something that we wanted to do on this channel, and spoilers come along with that.
We got to be careful about using the word educate there, though, because it's not like we're offering a degree or anything like that. I'm just saying, it seems to me we're offering an opinion or sometimes tools for how do we unlock what these stories mean to us, and potentially give these tools to allow others to unlock stories in ways that they maybe couldn't or didn't know how to unlock in other ways, right?
I guess the better way to say it, not educate. We're here to have open discussions. That's really, what we say at the front of every video, is that we're looking to discuss and talk about literature, and spoilers are going to come along with that.
Right. And if you're very sensitive to spoilers, one, I have no idea why you subscribe to our channel or why you're here. If anything we've said seems demeaning, it's we don't think that protecting spoilers is wrong. And we, I'm not going to go walk out of a Star Wars movie that was just released and announce who lived and died, right? Like I respect and understand the gestalt of what we need as a society when it comes to that. Even though I don't care, that doesn't mean I need to disrespect others, right? If any of this came off as us being disrespectful, one, I apologize. That wasn't our intent. But two, it is very difficult for us when we're constantly pelted with these expectations. I'm not trying to be a spoiler-free channel, so we're very clear about that. So when we get pelted with, why aren't you like this? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you talking like in this way? We're not trying to. We want to be different. We want to be a different avenue, and I think it's okay to offer that. I hope we didn't come off as negative, but if I feel exhausted about like the whole spoiler thing, it's because like, look, we just don't care.
But I think that if I actively walk into a movie theater and I watch a movie, that's different than just driving down the street and seeing a billboard.
You know what my favorite, you know what my new favorite joke is? When people talk about the Bible, I like making the joke, like, well, don't tell me how it ends. I haven't finished it yet. But
has anybody ever come back and been like, well, the rapture hasn't happened yet, so you wouldn't know even if you read it? That would be a good comeback.
There's some really good discussions out there. I can't remember who it was. Now I feel bad. Someone talked about, I think, nonfiction. Can nonfiction be spoiled? right? Like, don't tell me what happens at the end of World War II, right? Our friend Jack the Rambling Raconteur, he had a really interesting take of, can you spoil poetry, right? Art form just meant to deal with interpretations and stuff like that, like, which is a lot of the stuff that we read here too, to be fair. But can stuff like that be spoiled? And there's just a lot of different ways to take this tag. So hopefully you guys had some fun with the way that we did.
I tell my kids all the time, I'll be like, oh, spoiler, Hitler dies. And I usually get kind of a chuckle or at least a smile, like, yeah, we know. So.
And there's three.
It's all good and fun,
three
right?
chuckles from the people that know. There's one kid in there that's chuckling because he doesn't know if you're telling the truth or not.
He's like, wait, what?
I actually don't know.
That's okay. That's why you're here to learn.
All right, guys, we post videos every Monday and Thursday. Join us for the discussions. Una out.
Peace.